Well, hello and welcome to today's podcast. I am Lucy Emmanuella, and with me today in the studio I have Emmanuella Sandy, the governance officer for the Institute for Governance Reform. Hello, Emmanuella, and welcome to today's podcast.
Hi, listeners.
To further build on our previous episode that discussed the second iteration of the Citizens Manifesto, the Citizens Manifesto was first introduced in 2018 as a way to identify citizens' policy priorities and the desires of citizens that should be taken on board by political parties. Well, in this week, we discuss what are the demands of citizens in Sierra Leone. How many demands are there and what do they look like? There are not only demands at the national level, but also each district level. Well, the objective of the CM is to shape party priorities and manifestos going forward. So, Emmanuella, can you briefly tell us about the CM process and how you guys were able to identify these 6 demands of citizens?
Okay, thank you very much. The Citizens Manifesto initiative is a collaborative effort of all the civil society organizations, including media outlets, formal institutions like the Sierra Leone Teachers Union, Bar Association, and then informal groups including attire base, Benghazi car dealers, and so forth and so on. The whole idea of the Citizens Manifesto is to place citizens in the forefront of shaping the kind of democratic and accountable political leadership. The idea also of the Citizens Manifesto is to make political leadership accountable and then to reduce violence associated with our elections. We all know that when we get closer to elections, polling day and after elections, there are so much tensions. So the Citizens Manifesto is to reduce the violence associated with our elections, and so that citizens and then politicians, presidential aspirants, candidates, they will be having policy discussions so that elections will be policy driven. The other very significant issue also of why the CM is that citizens' policy priorities to be adopted into political party manifestos, and not just political parties adopting citizens' policy priorities, but also acting upon them to see that the desires of citizens are met. So the 6 issues that we are identified in this Citizens Manifesto, how did we come about that? The first step was to do a knowledge, attitude, and practice survey towards elections. This KAP, as we target knowledge, attitude, and practice survey, it is the forefront, it is the first step of having the Citizens Manifesto. But before we had our enumerators in the field to collect that data, we first of all had a meeting in which we invited all the major political parties to come and critique the tool, the questionnaire, to see which areas needed some adjustment and so forth. And so when that was done, we sent our enumerators in the field, and they did 2,400 interviews nationwide. And to do that interview also, furthermore, we used the ECSL 2018 VRC and police station data for us to be able to identify the respondents. And so what was done was household survey, in which randomly 2,400 people were interviewed. That was the other step. And so when the KAP survey report was out, we went again to the ECSL conference room, and then we launched the report, in which we invited all the political parties. The EMBs were there, other civil society organizations, and development partners. And so after the launching of the KAP, we also did a media launch of the district consultation, because that is also another medium in which we are able to get more information to develop the Citizens Manifesto.
All right, okay. So since we've highlighted that the Citizens Manifesto was introduced in 2018, how is this 2023 Citizens Manifesto different from the last?
Yeah, a major difference is that for the 2017 Citizens Manifesto, we had just citizens' demand. But this 2023 Citizens Manifesto, we have citizens' demand, and beyond the demands, citizens also made 6 commitments.
Okay, so now we're in this path. Tell us about the 6 demands made by the citizens, and delve into the demands. Let us know what the demands comprise of.
Yeah, so the 6 demands. Firstly, citizens wanted political parties to commit to achieving 50% employment for youth. Citizens do not want a discussion wherein they would say, oh, some of them are not empowered. The state have the responsibility to cater for even those who do not go to the university. So for best practice in some places, what they normally do is that they have factories and other companies that will employ even those who do not go to university. And so you would see that some of our youths, they go to neighboring countries or Europe, even though they are not educated, just so they could fend for themselves, just so they could work in factories. So what the responsibility of the state is that they are to identify, companies or institutions that would come and invest in Sierra Leone. And also the environment should be conducive for those institutions to thrive. And one way for the environment to be conducive is to reduce the tax on some of those companies. Because if the tax is high from government to those companies, and then our market is small, you would see that some bigger companies, they will shy on investing in Sierra Leone. So what the citizens want is 50%, government to commit to achieving 50% employment for young people. The other one is that in the first year of administration, whoever would win after the 2023 elections, they should introduce traffic lights on the streets and reduce the presence of police. We see that even commodities or goods that are produced in our country, the prices are really high, like palm oil or pepper. Because if the farmer, have their goods from the villages and the cost of transportation is high, by the time they get to major towns and they have to pay from one checkpoint to another, and then there is police on the street that will be stopping to pay for the goods and to pay for other charges, you will see by the time they get to major towns, the prices will be high. So we citizens want the next government to reduce the presence of police on the street. Yes, there are major areas that police are needed, like you would say, like those bordering areas or districts. The police are needed in those areas. But like on too many police on the streets, it have its own disadvantage altogether. And then make payments for traffic offenses via electronic money. We see also best practice in other nations is that if there is a traffic offense, you do not need to, your business do not need to stop for the rest of that day. But what happens is that you can do payments, electronically, or at times also, with those street lights that are in some of those places, they have cameras. So if there is an offense, the camera will pick it up, and then when you go to renew your license, then you would have to pay for that offense. But for us in Sierra Leone, we know the electronic means that is more available. It's maybe Orange or Afri money. So citizens can pay for that, and then they will go about their normal business for that day. Another demand also is that MPs and presidential aspirants to publish their assets on or before nomination. This was in the first manifesto, but much wasn't done. It was just one political party that actually declared their assets. All the others didn't. And the data also has shown that one of the reasons that forestall Sierra Leone's development is corruption. And so we see that public officials, before taking up positions, Sierra Leone is a small country. Some of us, we know what they have. And by the time they are in that position, or by the end of their term, We know how much they have, acquired, and a lot of embezzlement and corrupt cases. So we need that to be done. Citizens need, public officials to declare their assets. The next demand is that the next government to evenly distribute appointments to regions. No region should have below 15%, and then no region should have above 30%. This is also one of the issues why there is too much tension with our politics, because it's as if when Party A is in power, it is people from their region that are mostly appointed. But we want that narrative to change. Citizens want evenly distribution of appointments. And the final one is that to pay executive of parliamentary parties from the consolidated fund. The idea was that parties that could make their way to parliament, we know that now we have the PR. Not all parties will be able to have representation because there is a threshold number or figure that parties should attain before they could be members of parliament. So those parties that could make their way to parliament, citizens wanted that executives of those political parties should be paid from the consolidated fund. Not everybody, but you have the party executive like the women's leader or party chair or those category executives of parties that have representation in parliament should be paid from the consolidated fund. So these are the 6 demands. Although these parties that should be paid from the consolidated fund actually scored low, but all the other issues received really high ranking when we did the district consultations.
All right. So in that line of citizens' demand, I'm aware that there are 16 districts, and perhaps it is a bit much to talk about citizens' demand district by district. So, but perhaps what you can do is that if there are similar demands across the districts, if not, you can identify demands by region, not delving into them this time around.
So, at the national level, 50% employment for young people scored high, above 80%. Like almost all the regions, they wanted, all the regions and all the districts, they wanted employment for young people.
Okay.
And then the second one is to install traffic lights and reduce the presence of police on the street. That was the second one. It's also around 76%, at the national level that wanted to reduce the presence of police on the streets and replace them with traffic lights. And then the third, that was around 56%, was the evenly distribution of appointments by regions. So at the national level, that is what we have. But when you get to the district, there were district specifics. Like when we did the KP, there were some districts that their own priorities were actually to reduce the prices of goods and services. And I think Western area urban, because I was one of the facilitators in some of those consultations, also scored, for reduced prices on goods and services. And then we have some districts that wanted good road network. Some districts wanted electricity. That was their concern. I could remember they were saying that for them it was health. Like their health center is so small, and it is the referral hospital for all other towns that are in that Pujeon district. They refer them to the Pujeon headquarter town, but then they do not even have a facility for those who give birth. A labor room. They do not have that, and there is no light system. You could remember women are giving. You could imagine women are giving birth, and then there is no light at all. The in charge have to be using like phone lights or candles, which is really not. Yes. So you have district specifics, which is in the reports. Each district have their own, but when you come to the national at ranking, it was youth employment that really scored high.
All right, so let's talk about, as we round up this episode, let's talk about the dissemination plan. How are you planning to disseminate to political parties? Are they even listening?
To some point, I think they are listening. I believe so. Because, as I've earlier stated, all of this wasn't done in silos. We had them to be part and parcel of it because we know that we are the major stakeholders in all of this. So we have launched the Citizens Manifesto, and we invited all the political parties. Some were there and some were not there. And so for the two main political parties, we wanted them to do a statement, but the one was there, and we didn't want, a scenario in which the media would present, or it would be like it is one of the party that was invited. So our dissemination plan is that, first of all, there at the launching, we had those presenters from the districts who came and presented on their district resolutions. Like, for instance, for Makeni, this is what we want. This is what we want, and beyond the national, there were issues like, you would say, for Bo, they said to reduce the dollar, and for Makeni, they were for tolerance, political tolerance to prevail. We for the district consultation, we had aspects in which policy makers, or those participants, 50 participants for each district, could give us policies also. They could identify policies also if those policies were not identified in the KP, and all of that we incorporated all, which is on the reports. So our dissemination is to reach out to everyone. We have all those presenters which came from all the districts nationwide, and they have the reports. Some of them have started engaging their communities already on the Citizens Manifesto, that this is what we want. And so when political parties come to do their rallies, this is what we should ask them: how far they've adopted the CM, and how are they willing to work towards those issues. So that is one, and we have also have radio discussion programs in which we have also tried to sensitize the public and to reach out again to stakeholders, including political parties. So what we've done again is that we've disseminated the reports to all our development partners, and then furthermore is that we have to reach out to the political parties in person. And we want to do that through our meeting that we would have with them on keeping the peace during elections. All the political parties will be there. And so we want to have a little bit of a media presence there for them to cover the program, to show that indeed physically, even though some of them have requested for the report and we've sent it electronically, but we want to reach out to them again through that event, and to say these are citizens' priorities in the Citizens Manifesto for you to work towards it, and then the media will be there. So there will be a standing group after this time also that will be monitoring uptake of the Citizens Manifesto.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuella Sandy, for being here with us today. And we want to take you back on our next episode so we can talk about the citizens' commitments, as we've just spoken about the citizens' demand. So we're hoping to have you back here next week for our next episode. Till next time, I have been Lucy Manetario.